Oh, hello.
Hello.
We managed to make it back again.
We did with the sounds of cricket or not crickets. What are they? I haven't finished my coffee yet, Ryan. You're outside and it looks beautiful, and there are insects making nice sounds.
Cicadas?
Cicadas. Thank you. Introducing our guest, Courtney Freeze, who's already saving the day.
Yeah, she's already won the episode. It's over.
Great, we did it.
Congratulations, Courtney. It's yours.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us. I was going to connect a couple dots for everyone. So Courtney and my husband work together, and we have our word this week. I'll just preface it, baking oriented. And James was like, you got to talk to Courtney. She knows what she's doing when it comes to baked goods and delicious things. So you got to get her on.
Can I tell you that, like, when he told me the word, it was like perfect because, okay, so I've never made babka. I love babka, but I was like, it's actually really funny so I have my two brothers for birthdays because we have not been near each other. One lives in Florida, one lives in Texas. I always ship baked goods for like their birthday. Since like I like to bake, I can't make them a cake. I send them like a little something.
Mm-hmm.
And so my brother Jimmy, I like to use Goldbelly and just kind of find like random good like baked goods all over the country and ship them.
Okay.
So I was like, like trying to like look for something festive. And there was a funfetti babka. And so I was like, all right, that sounds cool. Like I'll send that, ship that. It was from a place in Brooklyn. And he got it. And he was like, this is the most amazing thing I've ever had. But he was like, the best part, like, it's not even the babka that's the best part. It's this bakery. The guy is called Jake Cohen. He's from Brooklyn. I was like, I did not know this guy was like as big as he is. Like celebrities know him, all this other stuff. But Jimmy was like, the photos that you get with the babka is like, it's those like 80s style photos where he's in like a black turtleneck. He's like holding challah bread like it's like a baby. And then you have like laser beams in like the background and stuff. And it's like, just put it in your mouth, like things like that on like
oh my God.
And like my brother was like, this is the best part of like the gift, not even the babka. And I just told James, I was like, that's so funny that that's the word because it's like a huge joke now. Like that photo hangs on my brother's fridge, which took my sister-in-law like a little while to realize that there was just a random guy.
That's what. Wait, I'm
holding olive bread.
I have met Jake Cohen.
Really?
We have a lot of mutual friends, and he was at an event I went to recently. He's a character. He's really fun.
I like literally didn't know. I just, like I said, I like love Goldbelly, and I was like, this looks awesome. And I was like, I did not realize this guy was like so big.
Oh, yeah. I just pulled up his Instagram again. Yeah, he has 1 million followers on Instagram. He has cookbooks. He's been on Drew Barrymore. But he's just like this kind of like hilarious Brooklyn gay. Speaking of like looking up beautiful baking on Instagram, though, I will say, Courtney, your page. So at _wild.honey.pie, you will see some of those beautiful cakes you have ever seen. How did this begin?
Growing up, I feel like we were all kind of like artistic. Like my one brother plays guitar. I did drawing and painting. I like to do like still life. I did figure drawing, so you're naked people, all that sort of stuff. And I just love to bake forever. And honestly, it ended up one day where I was working at another solar company and like almost kind of got like depressed, basically. And is the dumbest thing, I was laying in bed. I like called out of work for like 3 days and I was watching one of those like, I don't know, like spring baking championship or something like that. And I was just like, I could do this. Like I could literally do that. I like to bake and I'm artistic. So I think when I was about 30, I just decided to do pastry school. I feel like that's kind of how like I put it together. Like I don't necessarily use some of like the decorative mediums the way you're supposed to, but I feel like that's kind of like the art side is like you're introduced to new mediums and you kind of figure out like different ways to use them. So like a lot of the cakes and stuff I do, I actually like I have to charge more because it takes a little bit more time. But a lot of my images are rolled out gum paste, which is kind of like fondant. It's just next step up, so it dries out a little bit more, so it holds its shape. But I cut out my shapes for my images, let them dry out, and I hand paint all my images.
These really do look like works of art. These are gorgeous, what you make.
Vodka and food gel make edible paint.
Huh.
You had me at vodka. What's your go-to?
Like to eat or to make?
Or like in general, like you get this feeling, you're like, you know what, I want to do something that, like, I'm gonna go break away and do this. What are you making?
I like to make Pop-Tarts. That's like my biggest.
Delish.
I love making Pop-Tarts, which is another thing that like it is one of the bigger things I do, but I try to decorate them differently. And that's also kind of like wild honey pie, because Pop-Tarts are like my little favorite thing to do. And they're like little hand pies.
Has James had one of your Pop-Tarts?
He has, yes.
So I think I'm going to put in a request to have him bring something home next time.
I know. I was like, when I brought in cookies the other day, I was like, you should have brought some home so we had something to talk about.
My God. Only if you do it, Ryan, at a time when I'm coming down to visit, because I want to eat literally everything that's on your page. So, Courtney, how this works. What we do basically is we have our topic, which, as you know, is babka. We each have 10 minutes to chat about it, whatever babka made us think of. Either, sometimes we research things, sometimes we have random stories. Like, we each just have 10 minutes to go blah, blah. And then after we each have our little 10 minutes, you then get to pick a winner, literally whatever that means to you.
Okay.
And then you get to give us our topic for next week. And again, it could just be whatever pops into your head, but no stress. And you also get to pick which one of us goes first.
Let's start. Michael, we could start with you.
Okay, great. Usually I never go first because people just inherently have more faith in Ryan.
I think it's because they're like, get the boring stuff out of the way first, and then we'll have fun to end.
I feel like we'll do Ryan second, so then his is like a little bit more fresh, so then maybe he'll win this time.
I see.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
I've lost again. I always lose, by the way. I never win this.
You win all the time.
Actually, that's true. Recently, I've been on a good roll. Okay. Ryan, let me know when I
Ready,
begin.
set, go.
Okay, babka. Personally, I love babka. For the friends at home, and actually I wasn't fully prepared to do this part. Usually, again, I count on Ryan going first and explaining what things are. So I originally came into this assuming I wasn't gonna have to explain what babka is, but here we are. Babka is this really wonderful baked good. It's basically, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's like a sweet bread that's like sort of in a twist and sort of rolled together with like fine layers of bread, and then usually either chocolate or cinnamon. And it's sort of swirled, right? The cinnamon and chocolate is sort of like swirled in.
I'm going to say I called it kind of like challah meets brioche meets cake.
Yeah. It's really soft. It's kind of squishy. It's absolutely delicious. Originally, I believe it's traced back to like Jewish cultures in Eastern Europe, right? And because babka is a Yiddish word, right? That I believe they traced it back to like Ukraine.
Isn't rich sweet dough like a selection on a dating app?
I think so.
My preference.
So what I sort of loved when I was looking into babka, which I didn't know, is that in Yiddish, babka directly translates to little grandmother, which I kind of love that's what it's named after. It's like the OG like grandmother, which just made me think of like how whenever you watch those cooking shows and baking shows, like so many people are like, my grandmother taught me this. So it just made me love babka more that it's literally called grandmother.
I don't want to say my nana wasn't like big baker. She did always bake. It was like a lot of like the box mix. It was just like family wise, there always had to be dessert after dinner. So it was always something. So growing up, they lived down in Florida. My birthday's over the summer. So like my grandparents always got us for the summer. So my nana would have me for my birthday. Always got me whatever theme cake I wanted for my birthday, whether it was like Lion King or like Princess, like stuff like that. So for all these years, it was like Nana always made my birthday cake, and they were amazing with how they were decorated and everything else. So fast forward to like early 20s, we're all down in Florida, like my aunts, my mom, my nana, us kids, cousins, and we're like talking about all that stuff. And I brought up like Nana and all the cakes that she made. It was like she literally asked me whatever theme I wanted and like made these amazing cakes. And my one aunt was just like, "You idiot." And I was like, "Oh, what's the matter?" And I turn and I look, and my Nana's sitting at like the end of the table with that like hardcore belly laugh where like they're quiet because they're laughing so hard. She was like,
Uh-huh.
"She has bought all of your cakes from Publix since you were a little kid."
I love it.
And
Web of
she was
granny
like, "Why do you think
lives.
she asked you what theme you wanted?" She would go to the food store and tell them what cake you wanted. And I was just like, oh my, but I was like traumatized. I was like, the fact that I'm in my 20s and I still thought that my Nana made all of my birthday cakes since I was like a
You
little
just found out
kid.
Santa Claus isn't real.
That is so cute, though. Especially, I was going to ask, was this part of what got you into baking and making those beautiful cakes yourself? Was because you have all these beautiful memories as a child of amazing cakes from your grandmother, and it turns out the whole thing was a lie?
Yep.
Have you gone over to Publix? Have you gone over to Publix and been like, I need to meet the person who's my inspiration?
You
Making my
inspired.
cakes. But so the whole joke is now like my cake decorating is I'm just trying to live up to Nana's standards, like, you know, her skill. I just don't know if I'm
Oh
there
my
yet.
God. Yeah, one day. You can only hope and dream. Okay, that's what I was hoping this was going to turn into. So the reason I brought up that it's called Little Grandma was because I was like, we just have to talk about grandma inspirations, because that's what it made me think of. Because first I was looking to see if there were other cakes or breads or anything named like with grandmother in the name. And I could actually only find one official one. I mean, because obviously Babka, little grandmother, and there's one, it's called granny cake, which is a Scottish cake, which is just like a sponge with raisins. It's a pretty simple one, but yeah, it's called a granny cake.
What about grandma pie?
What's grandma pie? That didn't come up in my search.
I just made that up.
Oh, rude. There is like a company that's called like Grandmother's Cakes in New England, but then I looked it up. It's just like a chain like an Entenmann's, and I was like, oh, well, this isn't like a sweet personal thing. Like the Scottish one looks like the Scottish version of like babka. It's like it would be theirs. It literally looks like a granny cake where it's like small and kind of like a spongy cake with raisins. You're like, this feels like what Granny would make. And I actually read an article about it where one Scottish woman was like, she grew up with granny cake and she thought they called it that because her granny would, you know, make it. And she was like, no, that's what this is. My grandmother taught me when I was a little girl. It's been around as long as like we can remember because it was easy. And when you had lots of like wains, as they called them, like little kids, it was like an easy, sweet thing to whip up for after dinner. So I'm sure other cultures must have their version. I just don't know that granny is in the name. I think every culture has their version of this. Because I was thinking with my grandmother's, my father's mother was not God's gift to cooking.
That's where you got it from.
That's where I get my culinary prowess from, is my grandmother. Let's just say it's being edible is like a standard to which we barely make, but she could bake. Like, and that's one thing my mother gives her. She was like, she could bake. She could make a good pie. And she made this one Ukrainian bread every year for Easter that, oh crap, what's it called? If my sister was here, she would know. Anyway, it's Ukrainian Easter bread. That's literally heartburn bread. Like it has so many eggs, like you have to have it with Tums because you just want to die. Like it's pretty, but like you put it with butter and then you just like, your heart just leaps out of you. And then my other grandmother on my mom's side was Irish. So she made an incredible Irish soda bread. Pascha! There it is. Pascha. Thank you. My Ukrainian grandmother would make pascha and you would want to die, but it was tasty. And then my other one had Irish soda bread that was off the charts. But like, Ryan, do you have any granny baking?
You're not taking away from my 10 minutes.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I figured you were going to talk about like the history of babka and the chemistry behind it.
No, well, I am a little bit, but like, obviously, I think I ended up doing this. As soon as I found out it was like little grandmother, like I went down that fun. Yeah.
Well, because it's so sweet. I think it's a lovely theme because I think everybody has this where it's like my Nana, somebody who's like inspired me to cook. I mean, neither of my grandparents got to teach me. They both were older when I was born, so I would eat it. But also, I think they looked at me and they were like, bless you, you're a lost cause. My sister bakes.
This is never happening.
You know what's funny is this conversation actually has evolved where my 10 minutes is going to go. I just had another thought and I decided I'm going to go a different direction because I was just realizing like, I think all families have a bread. Like there's like all families have some sort of bread that is like the family bread. I don't know, Courtney, is that true for you? Other than Publix yellow cake?
I don't know. I feel like we always had dessert at like the end of dinner, especially like my mom's side. But I always feel like it was actually more about like the meal than it was the dessert. So I feel like that's why like the desserts were almost kind of like afterthought and maybe not like as elaborate. But bread, I don't like we really didn't have too much. I feel like me and one of my brothers who likes to bake too, not to the same extent, but like I feel like we're the ones that kind of like are bringing like desserts and
The
like
tradition.
more baked good into like, yeah. So like our big thing that I do for like family dinners and stuff like that, like holidays, is buttermilk biscuits all the way.
Oh.
Love.
Count me in.
Like, this is probably why I couldn't fully concentrate on that, because now I'm just thinking about yummy baked goods.
Just everything.
Which I'm also going to have the moment we finish recording. My sister brought scones from Scone Pony.
Oh.
And they are downstairs, and I cannot wait to dive in. Shout out to also Scone Pony. I don't know that they taste like scones. They're just like cake. They're just like a big piece of cake that you like convince yourself is a breakfast food.
Okay. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I'm thrilled. Like they are delicious. It's dessert for breakfast, and I'm very happy about it. And I put on my stretchy shorts and enjoy my day.
I've always wanted to do a Kathleen Turner themed scone shop and call it Romancing the Scone.
Oh, that's great.
And then have all the different scones named for various roles that she's been in.
That's great. Especially if can you just only have drag queens working there with like deep voices? I'm glad it worked out that I could lead you into your 10 minutes. This is so rare.
His winning 10 minutes, apparently.
His winning 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Mine went off the rails. No, you saved mine, Courtney, with your amazing story. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Let's do it.
Okay. So, babka. So I obviously hit a lot of the same history, the Polish-Ukrainian background, the little grandmother part. But then I got into a little bit of the history to like, how do we get to where it is today? And it didn't originally have chocolate or cinnamon in it. It was just kind of like a sweet bread that was served in a loaf. But we started adding things to it, or actually those cultures and Jewish culture ended up adding things to it in like the 1910s to 1930s. And I got into like why or what kind of drove that a little bit. And like, it's a lot of the like straightforward kind of things that you would expect. So like the early 1900s was obviously a period of heavy industrialization. So you had a greater mixing of cultures. So the Eastern European breads, obviously, or the people making them is the right way to put it, got greater exposure to like the French and the Austrians, who have a lot more fun with their sweetbreads, or were having more fun with their sweetbreads at the time in terms of having cinnamons and chocolates and various other flavors. So we had that influence. The other part that I liked was talking about the fact that like post World War I and World War II, going back to that idea of the little grandmother, is that post those wars, people drew back to what they knew. They drew back to their kind of like heritage, or back to the things that made them feel comfy and at home. And thus there was a greater reliance or a greater desire to participate in foods and culinary things that reminded you of home. The other thing that was a big driver, and really babka as we know it today, was a lot of Jewish immigration into the city. And modern babka is very much driven by a New York City style babka, which is, as people moved into the city, there's a great merging of cultures. There's also very reasonable access to ingredients. And as I had mentioned, industrialization drove, essentially commercialized availability of various ingredients. So that's where we kind of got to where we know babka today. The other thing that I thought was kind of like cool history on all of this was that babka had a resurgence in the 90s. And do either of you know why?
No.
No, I have no idea.
Seinfeld.
I was going to say, was it on Seinfeld?
Yeah. So there's a very famous chocolate babka episode on Seinfeld where Elaine wants a very specific chocolate babka to take to a dinner party, and that cinnamon babka is not what she wants. It's not appropriate. And it obviously goes through the typical kind of Seinfeld, like, realizing you're not what you're going to get, bartering to try and get there, and then ultimately resigning to your outcome and all the humor that goes into it. But it's kind of interesting. But that was the episode that really brought Babka into mainstream and made more people aware of it and want to try it, and then gave it kind of uplift to where it is today. And if I'm being honest with you, I don't think I knew about babka until that Seinfeld episode. And I think, recall being like, what the hell's babka? I was like, it must be delicious if they made a whole episode out of it. But I will say, I am a cinnamon babka person. And then you're either a chocolate babka person or a cinnamon babka person. And I am a cinnamon babka person. I think cinnamon and sugar is delicious.
I'm such a chocolate fan.
Cinnamon.
Yeah. Okay. You win. Congratulations.
I've now double lost.
But obviously this made me go down the rabbit hole that I feel like we all kind of did, which is that kind of reflection of little grandmother, that homey feeling. There's things that make you feel like at home. And I was originally going to talk a little bit about my grandmother, and she had, I don't know that it was actually a victory garden, but they had a good acre-sized garden that produced a lot of different things and a lot of different dishes that to this day I still love very much. This is also, side note, the grandmother that I have a number of hilarious stories to tell about that for some odd reason we've yet to get to any of them. My grandmother is a very funny little old country woman who is now 96 years old and unfortunately a bit out of her mind, but I have to say left a hell of a legacy within the family. But what you reminded me of, Michael, in terms of like talking about the Pascha, was that the family bread, or that, like, let's call it the heritage bread in my family, are these lard dinner rolls that my great grandmother Bobo used to make. And it was quite the process. It was 5 pounds of flour, I think over almost an equivalent amount of lard. It's a yeast bread and it has a double rise to it. So I have this massive bowl, although I now have I still use the massive bowl, but I use a really big KitchenAid mixer now to knead the dough because it's such a pain in the ass. I mean, my great grandmother's forearms were like, she was built like a linebacker.
Some of those old ladies, when you see them bake, some of those nonas, they're just like, boom, like, it's like, you should be a masseuse.
You got to get that lard equally distributed into that flour. Otherwise, like, it just doesn't work.
I cheat a lot too. The only thing I won't are the buttermilk biscuits. That I actually will massage the butter into the flour. But like when I'm doing Pop-Tarts, food processor all the way. Saves so much time, or you just hit it a couple times.
Does the massaging affect the flavor? Like if you massage the butter, does it change the flavor as opposed to if you used like a mixer?
I don't. So
or the texture?
I don't think so.
I'm afraid with buttermilk biscuits. I'm like, I've never done them in like the food processor, started them. And I'm like, the time I do, I bet you they don't taste the same.
I was going to say the funny part about Bobo's rolls, though, is like it was one of these recipes that has been handed down through experience. Although my grandmother did document it. And I now, with the documented thing, I'm the one that makes the family rolls when we get together. But Bobo lived in I interviewed Bobo like back in the 6th grade because she was the oldest living family member, and we talked about the price of things and like asked questions of her, like, do you remember the Great Depression? And I remember that whole discussion because she was like, no. She goes, 1, we were too poor, and 2, we lived out in the countryside and we virtually bartered for everything as it was. Like we would grow things and trade things with others and so on and so forth. So like, and she lived in a very quaint little home. But if you went to that home, that quaint little home, it always smelled of naphthalene, and very specifically mothballs. That's what naphthalene is.
I was going to say.
Everything smells like mothballs. And like Bobo always had a faint odor of naphthalene. The food that she brought always had like a faint odor of naphthalene. And we joke, like Bobo's rolls are still the peak rolls. And to this day that we joke that all the ones that we make today, the main thing they're missing is mothball.
Oh, I mean, that's actually really sweet. Because
it was like pervasive through everything. And it's like one of those things that like, it wasn't like a bad odor or smell. It was just her,
mm-hmm.
for lack of a better way of putting it. So Yeah, I mean that's the main thing it makes me think of. But the roll itself is so rich. And then once you bake it, it goes through a double rise. And like the best way to have it is with a nice pad of butter and apple butter. I don't know how you guys feel about apple butter, but
Oh, yum.
apple butter. But it's like it's rich to begin with, and then you're like, yeah, let's smear some more butter on it. Isn't that most things though? Like, when is more butter bad?
Yeah, I'm totally okay with things like swimming in butter for sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. 100%. How much time do I have? I don't know. I thought maybe
you
I
have
used it.
48 seconds.
Oh, well, that's perfect. I don't know. That's the kind of comfort it made me go back to. And I guess it was a combination. You know, my grandmother for multiple years tried to make them and would do it. They wouldn't rise and they'd end up like hockey pucks and she'd throw a fit. And my grandmother's move for any food that like didn't make it was to just throw it out in the yard. So I remember she made this. And the thing is, it's like 5 pounds of flour. So we're talking a sizable amount of rolls.
Yeah.
And those bad boys were like, and thrown out into the yard, you know, and then you watch critters come by.
Not eat them
I was gonna
because they're
say,
terrible.
This is this is a hilarious version of Snow White or like Cinderella. Like the animals are like like running away.
Like hockey pucks.
They're like literally bludgeoned by these biscuits. I was gonna say that sounds like whenever I've tried to make my sister's chocolate chip cookies, they come out. Oh my god, my sister makes amazing chocolate chip cookies, and I have tried, and they come out like hockey. It's a real shame.
I feel like you just have to. Good chocolate chip cookie just has to be like underbaked.
Oh yeah,
and you just let them sit to like basically to just let the dough solidify after cooling down. Because I do get compliments on like the certain things like with cookies and stuff like that. My secret is I just love Mexican vanilla. It adds a totally different taste to like whatever it is that you're making. Because even my like vanilla cake, people will be like, it's vanilla, but it's not. Like, what is that? It's Mexican vanilla. Like theirs almost has like a kind of like hints of like cinnamon and certain spices to it. And I just love that. So like for cookies, everything, it's my go-to.
What about
yum?
What about Madagascar and vanilla? I'm just joking. I don't know.
But like they do all have like different like kind of like notes to them, so it depends on where you get it from.
A friend of mine is from Mexico, one of my very good friends, and she had I was at her house recently with her and her mother and her husband. Her husband's also Mexican, and we had this cake. It was like a celebratory cake, and they hide little plastic babies in it. And there's like 3 of them. And if you get one of the babies, then you can like make a wish and it's supposed to be good luck. It's this very traditional, sort of dry, like round cake. But I was like, how hilarious if you did a version of that for babkas and you hide like a little plastic grandma in it. And like as you eat it, like you look for the little grandma, and it's like a little old like Jewish lady, like who's bent over with her black
shawl. Find the bubby.
It's find the bubby. Like you find the bubby in the babka, and if you find the bubby, it means like a year of good luck. Maybe
good.
There's a question mark on it. It's like good luck.
Aren't like the little baby things? Isn't that like is that the Mardi Gras thing?
You're thinking of king cake.
Yeah,
yeah,
that's what I'm thinking of. Okay.
King cake. We have this grocery store in Woodstock, and it's called Sunflower Market. And, you know, like, I think everyone identifies with the fact that it's nice to have a very local grocery store, like somewhere you can pop in and you can get milk, or you could get vanilla if you're baking or whatever else. But this effing place, what I would say is, like, if I wanted to go there and get vanilla, number one, it's going to be at least $20 to $25. And it's not just going to be vanilla. It's going to be Madagascar vanilla that was collected under a full moon by local indigenous people when there was a warm breeze after a strong summer day, because that was when it was peak vanilla. You know, and that's what this whole effing...
It's worth every cent.
That's what this whole place is like. Like, it's not just cocoa. It's not just cocoa. This was cocoa collected in a small region of Africa that few people know about, where you must hike 26 miles and your personal sweat is actually part of what brings forward the aroma when you pick it. You know, this sort of bullshit. But like at the same time, I'm really happy that they're supporting free trade growers and
Yeah.
weird shit. So yeah.
Oh man. All right. So Courtney, you now have the really fun task of choosing the the winner, whatever that means to you.
Yeah.
You also feel free to pick yourself too, because you, I think, had a great story.
I think you won. You did a.
I would pick you.
I don't know. This is a tough one. Ryan was a bit more educational on it.
That's pretty standard.
That's why I rely on you to go first.
But I think we're going to go with Michael because...
Yay!
Because I complained so much.
No, but you did bring up the whole like grandma thing and everything else, and it was a fun time. And I feel like everyone enjoyed that conversation. So
Oh,
I agree.
Thank you.
I agree.
but I did like the history on babka. That was good.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I loved that.
I'm good for a little history.
Oh, I learned so much from you. All right. So, and what is our topic for next
yeah.
week?
Can we do, so if I say metal, like rock metal, does that work?
Oh, like the music, like
Yes.
like a rock metal band. Yes.
Oh, and Ozzy just passed.
Oh, I'm sorry. Maybe it's a bad topic.
Hey, no, it's
Oh,
great.
wow, no.
Okay.
I love that topic. We haven't talked about a music thing in a minute, so this is great. And I know next to nothing about hard rock. Like that was not a. I am a little old man who listened to like show tunes and like Ella Fitzgerald growing up. So
Aw.
this is great. I may actually do a fun little dive on this one.
It's funny. You were like metal. I was like, oh, gold, platinum.
No,
I was thinking like
about
the
it.
Olympics. I was like winning a medal.
I don't know, because I knew that I was going to have to pick a word, all that I could think. So I have like my two brothers, and like I said, like one plays guitar and was a huge metalhead growing up. He's an electrical engineer who used to have very long hair and was a huge metalhead. So it was a very
Love it.
funny combination. But I was like, you know
Amazing.
what? We'll go with Jimmy. We'll use metal for this.
All right. Well, thank you so much
Yeah, thank you.
for
Thank
being
you.
here.
Thanks for having me.
It's so nice to meet you.
You too.
And I
Yeah.
can't wait for a set like to get together and eat.
Yeah.
It's gonna be magical.
I think generically there's a really good food culture at the place that you guys work, because I also love I love Matt, the
Yes.
chef,
Mhm.
and all the stories of all the things that he makes. So like I just like feel like I should work there just so we could eat.
Well, I'm trying to convince him. I was like, if I just prep dough at home, like cookie dough, can we bring it in and just bake fresh cookies for the day instead of pre-made?
Oh my god!
But
You
next
would
time
so
I'll make a
quickly-
little box for James to bring home.
And remind everybody again what your Instagram handle is.
_wild honey, and it's HONEY pie. And if can't remember, it's a little quick blurb from the Beatles' White Album. It's one of their songs. So
Oh,
Nice.
very cool. Yes, definitely go check that out. And we'll be back for metal.
For metal.
Ah.